Thanks for tuning in to another episode of PSL on the Mic, the City of Port St. Lucie's official podcast. We're here today with our finance director, Stephen Okiye. Now, this is his first time on the podcast, and we brought him in for a very important reason. So there's been a lot of talk over the past few months in the state legislature about either reducing property taxes for homeowners or completely eliminating them. And Stephen has been one of several representatives from local governments, local cities, who have traveled to Tallahassee to speak about how these reductions or eliminations could actually impact the core service that we provide for our residents. So thanks for this very important podcast.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
So before we dive into what you guys have been doing, let's just get to the basic questions first. What are property taxes, which we think everybody would know about, and how are they determined here, especially in Port St. Lucie?
Yeah, so property taxes are a combination of city, county, school, and other agencies' annual charges paid by property owners based on the value of their real estate. They're basically determined through St. Lucie County, well, here locally it's through the St. Lucie County Property Appraiser's Office, who issues and assess value for a home. That minus any exemptions equals a taxable value that a property owner would pay. The taxable value then is applied to a tax rate, which is the millage.
Correct.
And that is to calculate how much that homeowner would actually pay. These are the main revenue sources for local governments to use to fund essential public services.
Now, you talked about the exemptions. What does it mean when a home is homesteaded? How does that help homeowners?
Well, when it's homesteaded, it allows you to, one, be part of that Save Your Homes is one of the many things that people have. And what that does is it limits the amount that the property can be increased every year, or that, as far as how much the person pays.
And what's that cap?
Right now it's 3%.
3%? Okay.
For non-homesteaded, it's 10%.
Okay.
But, to your point, that's one of the conversations that are being had up in Tallahassee is whether or not that 3% should it be reduced to 1% per year, basically, and that 10% should be reduced to 5% per year.
Okay, so that is one of the options we're going to talk about later.
We're going to talk about, yeah.
Now, you mentioned about property taxes and how they're a big source of how we bring our core services to residents. What portion exactly of our general fund, because that's where property taxes go to, what portion of that is from property taxes?
Roughly 50% of the general fund is from property taxes, yeah. If you were to break it down a little bit more granularly, as far as homesteaded properties, that equates to roughly 30%.
Okay.
So dollars and cents, right now, last year's general fund budget was roughly $212 million. So half of it is in property taxes. So
wow, that's a lot.
Yeah.
Now, what is the percentage of homeowner properties that are homesteaded in Port St. Lucie? Do we have that number?
Yeah, homesteaded properties, and based on different, so like basically if you were to say like for improved residential properties in Port St. Lucie, 75% of those properties are homesteaded.
Okay.
To give you an idea, the total parcels in Port St. Lucie in the city limits is just over 118,000 total parcels. Total improved residential parcels is roughly 98,000 total improved. And I'm sorry, for parcels in the city, 118,000, not 100. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Now, how much property tax revenue comes from those homesteaded properties?
From the homesteaded properties in particular?
Yeah.
From the homesteaded, for the general fund, we're looking at roughly $62 million. But keep in mind, that doesn't include our voter-approved debt.
Debt, right.
Right. That represents an additional $4 million, $4 to $5 million from homesteaded properties.
Okay. Now, the Florida House had put together this select committee, and that's you and Vice Mayor, the contingent from other state county and city agencies have been going up to travel to Tallahassee to speak in front of this committee. Can you tell us not what you've been relaying to these legislatures when you've been there?
Yeah, I mean, I think a key core part of the message has been the importance of maintaining a predictable and stable source of revenue. See, unlike sales and tourism taxes and other taxes that fluctuate with the economy, property taxes ensure that everyone contributes to maintaining the services and infrastructure that make communities safe and livable. Local governments rely on them to meet legal obligations and maintain a level of service. And that's really what we've been trying to communicate up in Tallahassee.
And what would it mean for our residents, our city, our residents, everyone here that lives in PSL, if there was a significant reduction or a complete elimination? What would that mean for some of the services that we provide?
You'd have basically services that benefit the community would be at risk. We're talking about emergency management services, code enforcement, animal control, parks and recreation. One of the initiatives and goals in the city was open spaces. That would be at risk. Roads, sidewalks, and just general local government operations as a whole. These services are the ones that create that community benefit for the residents. So.
And I've been trying to do some background on this, and I've been reading a lot of the articles that have come out. And you and both Vice Mayor Caraballo have really been pushing the fact that we're already a very fiscally conservative city. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. As far as the city itself, we are already very fiscally conservative. Over the last 10 years, we've reduced the millage, year over year. And as one of our other council members likes to say, we're a young city at 64 years of age, And with that comes challenges of keeping up with the growth and the explosion of population, And so, but we've done a great job, At one point, the millage was as high as 6.6, and it's been reduced now to just below 5, which speaks volumes.
It does.
Along with that, we've reduced our debt considerably. It was above $1 billion, previously. Now it's, right around, right below 600 million, So it's significant contributions have been made over these last 10 to 15 years. And City Council has done an excellent job of spearheading that and just getting ahead of that and just knowing that, look, this is our objective and these are our goals and this is what we want to do. So instead of taking like a broad stroke and just, sweeping across with broad changes, they've taken more of a precision approach and said, look, this is our objective. We're going to incrementally achieve this goal, and we're going to make sure that that it allows us to provide the services that our residents want and deserve, but at the same time being fiscally responsible.
Right. Could this affect our bond rating in any way too?
Potentially, it could have an impact, because I think one of the issues that are up there right now that they still need to discuss is what do they do with voter-approved debt?
Right.
If
you're just talking about that, yeah.
Yeah, because some of these, this legislation is really about, some of these are going to be very impactful on homesteaded properties and the revenues derived from that, And if that goes away, what happens with that voter-approved debt? Now, it appears as if they were passed, that the general fund would have to subsidize that, in some shape or form.
Which is already going to be slashed.
Which is already going to be slashed.
Right.
On top of that, the city itself carves out a portion of it to go to road and bridge, which is, our vital infrastructure projects. We're constantly trying to improve the flow of traffic and the ease on the burden on the residents, but that could be impacted as well too.
And this isn't just going to affect the city of Port St. Lucie. I mean, we're 260 plus strong. We are a young city, but what about these little municipalities that are, 1,000 people or even 100,000 people?
That's correct. For our general fund, like we mentioned earlier, property taxes represent, roughly 50%. But you have other jurisdictions out there where they're substantial. Some are at 90.
Yeah. Wow. Oh, I can't even
So
imagine.
I mean, it's going to be devastating for a lot of these smaller communities. Could be devastating for a lot of, depending.
Right.
On, yeah.
And at the same time, I know we're the state is trying to find ways to help homeowners. I get that. So let's talk about some of those. There were 7 amendments and I think 1 bill that were actually approved to go ahead for this legislative session. Can you just like a broad overview of these proposals and what some of them could mean?
Yeah. I think broad overview is.
Or if we can't do broad, if we have to do detailed, that's okay too.
No, it's okay. I'm trying to. I think a broad overview would be, and I'm going to put it in dollars.
Okay.
Just because
that works.
It's a little bit easier for my mind.
Finance guy, after all.
The one that would have probably the least impactful, I'd say de minimis, whatever, would be closer to a couple million.
Okay.
It's still impactful,
Yeah.
but it's a couple million.
Now, when you say a couple million.
To the general fund.
Okay.
To the general fund's
Okay.
budget, right? The largest one, we're talking to the tune of closer to $62 to $65 million impact on the general fund, which is substantial, and you have a menu of proposals that are in between,
Okay.
So
there's one from the lowest to the highest is what you, broad,
Yeah.
okay.
Yes. And each one has a different, scenarios with each one, But I really think it's important that, if whatever decision is made up in Tallahassee, however it washes out, is that an alternate, revenue source is identified, in order for the communities to maintain these level of services that the residents want and need, it's to ask the community or the cities and to choose, what I mean? It's tough.
And we don't have any, I mean, you've gone up with Vice Mayor and the other, people from different municipalities. But what it comes down to is this is the state. This is what's going to happen in the legislative session.
Yeah.
So what are the next steps now?
Right now, it still has a couple of, I think it has 1 or 2 more committees to go through the House. Then it's voted on. And then from there, I believe it does go up to the Senate. Same process. And then it eventually gets to the governor's desk. And
Now there's 8, like I said, there's 7 amendments and 1 bill. Did they pick one? Do they combine? We have no idea.
we have no idea. They passed
Okay.
all of them.
Right, they did approve them. I did read that.
They
Okay.
approved all of them. So I don't know if they may take a different shape, different form later on.
Some from one, some
Yeah.
from another. Okay.
I don't know, but it started through the process, and it's continuing. And the next step is for the House, I guess, to vote on it, and then goes to the Senate, and then goes through
Okay.
that process.
Well, we'll definitely make sure to bring you back here when something of significance happens regarding this. I did read something too about public safety and police. That's a huge chunk. I wanted to make sure I made note of this before.
Yes.
That's a huge chunk of our general fund.
Well, yeah. Thank you for bringing that up.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things that's been discussed up there is that law enforcement would not be compromised.
Okay, good.
All right.
Okay.
But I think that when we're thinking of the realm of public safety, there's usually more to it.
There's more than just police with
Right?
that too. Yeah.
So we have code enforcement, for example. You got animal control, for example. You got, some would argue that, the roadways, provide
course.
Public safety.
Everything
because,
seems to be public.
yeah,
Yeah.
one, because of access. If these roadways are not taken care of and are not maintained and are not expanded and are not like the signalization that the city's been working on with the fire
Yep.
at rescue and
Right.
police, to help the street lights go through, what I mean, so make it easier to get to a destination quicker.
Yep.
It all kind of, they're all kind of encompassing, and it has dramatic effects on everything.
It does.
Because it could impact the response time to that public safety.
Right.
So I think it's a broader discussion. Some would argue about flooding. Stormwater management.
Mm-hmm. It's all public safety when it comes down to it.
Yeah. So. But we'll see what they come up with. One interesting thing on a broad scope too is they didn't include fire. As far as the carve out is what couldn't be touched, but it was clear it was law enforcement.
But it was law enforcement and policing.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. Well, we're definitely going to have you back.
Appreciate it.
This was a different podcast than we've usually done, but it's very timely. You guys were up there just last week or the week before. The session starts in January.
Yes.
I should know this.
Yeah,
Okay.
Jay.
And it lasts a few months. So we'll definitely have you back
Appreciate
to
it.
discuss what happened and what came out of this. Now we're going to turn the tables a little bit.
Uh-oh.
We do a 10 question at the end of our podcast with just our new guests.
Okay,
We might
all
change
right.
up the questions eventually and then have them just to get to know you guys better. We're government employees. We actually like to do things like outside of work and we have favorite movies and favorite food. So I'm just going to throw 10 questions at you and
Okay.
you just tell me what pops into your head right away.
Okay.
Okay? So what's your favorite food?
I got to go with cheeseburgers.
Okay. Any particular
Reason why?
kind?
Well, here's my reason why.
Fast food or your own?
No. Just I guess it's more of a whenever I go to a restaurant, a new restaurant, one that I've never been to, right? And if I see a cheeseburger on the menu, I'm gonna order it
Okay.
because that's my litmus test.
Okay.
If you can make a good cheeseburger,
Okay. That's fair. That's
then I
fair.
think the rest of the food's gonna be good, and
Meat.
I'll come back over and over again.
Medium rare, well done.
Medium.
Okay. All right. If you came to my dad's house, he won't make anything less than medium, so
Okay.
you'd be allowed in. How about your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? It's a toss-up, but I don't know why. Maybe it's because I've been going back and forth, just been in different situations, but I've been thinking Gladiator lately.
Okay, that's fair. How about your favorite hobby? What do you like to do outside of being a finance director for the sixth largest city in Florida?
Right. As far as hobby, I love traveling.
Okay, great.
Love to travel.
Okay, that's another question on here. We'll skip to it. Favorite place to travel to?
Favorite place to travel? I've had several that I love, destinations that I've been to, but the one that stands out the most was Egypt.
Awesome. That's wonderful. Favorite singer or band? Or genre of music, if that makes it easier.
I love all music.
Okay.
So that I love all music. If you were to look at my playlist, it's everything from country to rap to hip hop, jazz,
Oh, nice.
neo soul, classical, R&B, pop. It's everything.
It's a little like mine,
and
probably.
everything in there.
Cool.
But as far as artistry and artists, it would have to be I guess Prince or Prince.
May he rest in peace.
Yeah.
How about your favorite holiday?
Holiday.
As we're coming into the holidays.
I love Christmas.
Okay, who doesn't, right?
Who doesn't like presents?
What about your favorite dessert?
Favorite dessert is I'm gonna have to go with carrot cake.
Okay. Favorite TV show?
TV show. And it's been, oh God,
Are you going to date yourself?
I don't know what it was about the show, but even when I'm not doing much of anything, I'll play it in the background and it still makes me laugh, and it's The Office.
Okay, that's completely fair. Up to the last question, your favorite color?
Blue.
Blue. I love that color too. Stephen, thank you so much. This was really great. We got to know you a little bit better, but most importantly, you were able to verse us on what's happening up in Tallahassee. And again, we'll have you back in a couple months maybe
All right,
to
appreciate
discuss what happened up in Tallahassee.
All right, thank you.
Thank you so
very
much.
Thank you.